Well, my name is Professor Viren Pereira, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Advanced Modes 1 of FX991 ES Plus. Now, before we go to advanced modes, there was a certain topic that I did not cover in basic functions, which is the trigonometric aspect. So, in the trigonometric aspect, I basically covered sine, cos, and tan, but sine inverse, cos inverse, and tan inverse were remaining. So if you see just above sine, cos and tan, there is something known as sine inverse, cos inverse and tan inverse. So if I want to find out, say suppose the value of sine inverse of 0.3, then I have to just press shift sine inverse as it is in the gold term. My gold terms will get activated by the shift button. So I have to press shift, I get the S out, which you can see here. So once the S comes, I press the sine button to activate sine inverse. So sine inverse comes on my display. So I have to press sine inverse, and since I want to know sine inverse of 0.3, I say 0.3, close the bracket. Always close your brackets to be on a safer side and press equal to. So I get the value as 17.457. So this is basically my value. Now 476. Now cos inverse, again shift and press cos, so that will give me cos inverse of 0.6 and close bracket. So I get the value as 53.13. Now tan inverse. So again I press shift, tan inverse of 0.5. So 0.5, close bracket, and I press equal to. So I get a value of 26.57 since it is 5. So this is basically the values that I have got. So I can even get sine inverse, cos inverse and tan inverse as well. There is even another function which I want you to know. If you see on top of log, there is 10 raised to the power of any value. So if I press shift as it is in gold for 10 raised to the power of any value, I get 10 raised to the power of the value which I want. So say I say the value is 10 raised to the power of 3 and I close the bracket. So how much will I get? 1000. So this basically represents 1000. So if I have a term like 8 into 10 raised to the power of 9 plus 3. So if I want to add this entire term, I can add it in the calculator with just one step like this. I open bracket 8 into 10 inverse of 9, close the bracket of this 9 and then again close this major bracket plus 3. So I get the value as 800000003. So this is how I can find out the value of this problem. So there is even another aspect which I want to share some light on, which is with the alpha button. Now if you see, if I press shift, the S button gets displayed. If I press alpha, the A button gets displayed. So alpha will target all the terms dealing with red and shift will target all the terms dealing with gold. So this is how it works. Now coming back to the advanced modes 1, which is basically dealing with episode 3. Now in this we will basically study all the various modes that this calculator can operate on. So which special modes it can operate. So if you see, there is a mode button here written mode, and there is another button on top of mode known as setup. So first we will see the options in mode. So if I press this button, I get my options. So I get comp, I get complex, statistical, base n, equation, matrix, table and vector. Now if I press the replay button downwards, you see I don't get any more options. So if I press it left or right, I have no options. So I have only the options from 1 to 8 and no more. So from this 1 to 8 options, the major options that any engineer should know is basically your base n calculation, your equation, your matrix. So these are basically your three major functions that any engineer should know. Now what is basically your base n calculation? So base n calculations basically deal with converting your binary to decimal, decimal to binary, binary to hexa, hexa to octa and so on. If you can see, there is something written here as decimal, hexa, binary and octa. So this will basically deal with your binary calculations. Now your second most important function is your equation mode. Now in this equation mode, if I press 5, I can solve for simultaneous equations. But if you see the first and second option, I can solve basically maximum for only 2 simultaneous equations or 3 simultaneous equations. But anything more than 3 I cannot do. So I can only use this to solve 2 and 3 simultaneous equations. Now the third option can make me solve for equations dealing with square or equations dealing with cube. So I can solve square and cube equations as well. But my simultaneous equations are basically limited to only 3. Now coming back to mode, I have another mode which is the third most important in every engineering college, which is your matrix mode. Now your matrix mode can be used to find your determinant, it can be used to find transpose, it can be used to multiply, divide, add and subtract matrices. So this matrix mode is also one of the most crucial mode which is used in every engineering study point of view. So the matrix mode basically helps you to do all these functionalities. You are having options of 3 matrices wherein you can multiply, divide, add, subtract, find the determinant, find the transpose and so on. So this matrix option plays a very vital role in the scientific calculator. Now apart from the mode, if you see in gold it is written setup. Now to activate setup, obviously since it's in gold, I have to press my shift key and then press this mode button again. So I enter my setup. Now in this setup, I have mathematical, linear, degree, radians, grades, fix, scientific, normal, and now here if I press my replay button, I get AB divided by C, I get D divided by C, which are fractional values such that, for example, if I have a value 3 into 5 divided by 6, so I can push that value using this form. But since I am using brackets, I don't require to use this form, and since brackets are more easy and makes it more user friendly, we can basically avoid these two modes which make it more complex in nature. Then I have my other modes like statistical, display and contrast. So I have around 1 to 6 here, and if I press my top button I have 1 to 8 here. So this setup also basically proves a very crucial role. Now we saw the mode button and the setup button and how many functions they basically have. Now if you just check this calculator and if I press my AC or I press my on, I only get one thing displayed, that is my degree mode. But this basically doesn't come at its default state. When you open your calculator from the box or when you buy it new, it basically comes in a different setup point of view. Now I have modified this setup to basically tweak it to my settings. So the setup function is basically like a tweak so as to enhance the performance capabilities of your calculator to suit your expectations or to suit your answer compatibility. So this is basically the plus point about the Casio calculator. Now let's go to each of these modes individually and find out. But before we go to that, let's get the point that I made before, that when your calculator is bought new, does it come in this form? No, it doesn't come. So let's see. Let's put this calculator back to its default state. So if you want to put the calculator to its default state, what you can use is, you see this 9, on top of 9 is something written as clear and it is in gold. So let's press shift to activate that clear function and 9. Now you can see I got clear, wherein I have options such as setup, memory and all. Now setup means it will only clear the setup function whatever you have selected. That means if I have modified my setup function so as to tweak the calculator as per my liking, it will delete all those setup functions and get the calculator to its previous state. That is the state in which it came when you initially bought your calculator. So it basically restores the calculator to its original default setting at the time when you bought it. So it will be the same setting as per that time. Now what do you mean to say by memory? Now your second is memory. Now as I told you, your Casio calculator can even save some particular values. So in case you saved some particular values, so when you press 2, so whatever values you have saved in those specific blocks of memory will be deleted. So say if I saved alpha A, so say if I saved the value of 27 in A and now it is saved in my Calc, if I press clear and if I press 2, that alpha A will get deleted. So whatever value I saved in alpha A will go and it will go to 0. So all your values will go to the default setting. So the default setting is 0. So no matter where you saved it in your calculator, it will go to 0. So this will only delete the memory part without touching the setup. And when you say 3, that is all, it includes restoring your calculator to your initial default setup and to your initial default memory setup. So that means whatever setup you have done or whatever tweaks you have given to your Calc will be deleted and it will return it back to your original state when it first came to you when you initially brought it. And your second, memory, basically deletes all your memory. Whatever values you have saved in it will go to 0 by default. So when you press all, both the setup and the memory will get deleted. If you press only setup, that is your first option, that is 1, only your setup will go. If you press 2, only your memory will go, but your setup will remain intact. And if you press 3, all will go. So this is basically how it works. And one more thing, if you press setup, only your setup functions will go, your memory will still remain intact. So this is how your clear function works. So now let's press clear all. So I want to press all, so I use 3 because all represents 3. Now you see reset all, you get two options. If you want to reset everything, press yes. If you don't want to reset and you want to come out from this, press AC. So I want to reset all, so I press equal to, and then reset all, press AC key. So now it is reset and now my calculator is in its default state and now the settings are all default and it resembles the state or it resembles the setup when you initially bought this calculator. So now you see you have a degree and you have a mathematical. So degree mode should always be there, which I wanted, but what I have got but what I have got additional is the mathematical mode. Now I don't want the mathematical mode because it doesn't suit my preference. So if I want to take out the mathematical mode, since I am basically going to use brackets and make it more friendlier for my liking. So if I want to remove it, I press shift, I go to setup, and you see here the first option is mathematical, the second option is linear mode. So I will prefer a linear mode. So I press 2 for linear, and you see the mathematical mode disappears. Now I would basically prefer not going with the mathematical mode because I am a person who would like to use the brackets more rather than using your setup function which you had seen earlier, that is a into b divided by c or d divided by c. So instead of using that, I would prefer basically using the brackets because it makes it much similar, and because it makes it much simpler and more user friendly point of view. So anyways, it depends upon user to user. Some users still prefer the mathematical mode, but it's my strong opinion that that brackets prove its usefulness to a global audience, and it basically helps to cut down unwanted mistakes as well. So I would still prefer that you go for the bracket mode, but anyways, that is up to you. Now coming back to the setup. Now there is one more thing which I wanted to tell you. Now you see, for your sine inverse of 0.3, you got the value as 17.4576. Now most of us people, okay, at least at the time of examination, would not basically write such a big value. Now if I type in sine inverse of 0.3, that means shift sine inverse of 0.3, close bracket, I get this value 17.45760312. Now at the time of examination, say I am asked to find the value of sine inverse of 0.3, it's highly unlikely that I will write this whole value. I will basically reduce this value to 17.46. So I'll keep it basically up till 2 decimal places, and this is the basically the value which I require, because this makes the value too big. And as far as all engineering studies go, the minimum decimal places you can keep is up to 2 decimal places. You can even go for more, but it basically makes no sense. So we are basically only interested in 2 decimal places, which is globally used. Now if you want to set or tweak your calculator settings, what you have to do is press on again, press shift, setup, and go to this option known as fix. So fix is representing 6, so I press 6. Now you see the fix is basically telling me from 0 to 9. So now if I want 2 decimal places, that means I have to press 2. If I want 1 decimal place, I have to press 1, and if I don't want any decimal place, I have to press 0. So I want basically 2 decimal places, so I press 2. So now you see, when you press your AC, you don't get it as 0, but you get it as 0.00. Now let's try putting this sine inverse of 0.3 and see what we get. So I press shift, sine inverse 0.3, close bracket, and I get my answer as 17.46. So it basically already shifted all my decimal points for me. So I did not have to calculate all this, I directly got my answer as 17.46, which makes it very convenient at the time of examination. Many a times I have seen people having this fix option, but they don't know what it is. So this is the major function of fix, and it has vast uses. So if you're using this, it's better that you know why you're using it. So kindly use the fixed value and use it wisely. Simply just don't add the fixed value when you don't know it. So only if you know it, and since you are seeing the video, use the fixed option wisely. So you can basically use this fixed option to get your answers directly in this form, thereby saving a lot of time in the examination. So this is how you can use the fix function. Now many a times I have seen people putting the fix option, but they don't know what it is. It's always wise whenever you buy a product to open your manual and check it one time, because your manual basically tells you each and every functionality of your calculator. But still, if you don't know an option, please don't add it. Now I will tell you the technique how to come out of fix. Now say you want to come out of fix. You again go to shift and setup. Now you see there is something known as normal, that is 8. So I click on 8 and I press 1. So see, now your calculator is returned back to normal. See, if you press setup again and you press fix, by pressing 0 you will not return to it. You will still get it as 0.0. I mean 0 point. So basically if you want to come out of fix, you have to press shift, go to setup and click on normal. So normal is representing 8. So I am pressing 8 and press 1 and I come out of fix. This is the only way you can come out of fix. Now another function which is of greater importance is, if you press your arrow key, if you go on if you go on setup, you can see 1 to 8. I got my mathematical, linear, degrees, radians, grades, fixed, scientific and normal. Normal I told you if you want to come out from fix. Then if you press your arrow key which is down, okay, you get something known as display and you get something known as contrast. Now what is this display? Now if you see, if I press 5, it gives me two options. So your decimal point can be represented by a dot or a comma. That means if I have 17.46, I can get this represented as a dot, which is 17.46, or I can represent it by a comma, that is 17.46. So let's see this. So now it is assumed a dot by default. So let's select comma. So I press 2. Now I will type 17.46 and if I press equal to, you see I get a comma. So it will become 17.46. But I would still prefer the dot format. So again I will change it back to the display and select dot mode. So now if you see, if I type 17.46, I get it in point. Another function is your contrast. So if you press 6, I can adjust the darkness. So I can make this more darker, as you can see, and I can make it more lighter. So I can select the contrast option from the calculator and make the screen or the LCD more darker or lighter in nature. Another function which you can use is your scientific constants. Now you all might have known that in physics and chemistry or other subjects dealing with applied sciences have a lot of constants, and it basically becomes very difficult to remember all these constants. But your scientific calculator makes this easy. Now if you see, you have your, I hope you can see this, you have your scientific constants written here. So I have my gravity constant, okay, so I have my gravity of earth, I have my gravitational constant of the universe, that is my g. So I can find out all these constants. I have epsilon naught, I can find out the values of all this. So it becomes very easy for you to get the values of your constants. So say I want to find out the gravity of Earth. So the gravity of Earth is given as G. Now G is representing which value? 35. So what I have to do? So the methodology is already given here, how you have to get it. So say I want my gravity constant. Now gravity constant is representing which number? As you can see here, it is 35. So what I have to do is, you can see in this gold it is written constant, and here it is written conversion, CONV, which represents conversion. Now I am only talking about the constants. So if I want my constant value, I have to press shift. Okay, so the shift button has come here and I press constant. Now it is asking me which constant you basically want to know from 0 to 40. Since from here I have 0 to 40. So say I want my gravity constant, that is representing number 35. I press number 35 here. So 3, 5. So it got my G. So if I press equal to, this is my gravity constant. I can even use this gravity constant directly. So say if I want to say 5 into G divided by 6. So I can directly get the answer straight away. So this makes it very easy, and your brackets basically hold the best advantage that you can have. So you can manipulate the term right away and you can tweak it as per your liking. So you can get that full expression on your display screen and get the answer right away instead of finding it out individually. So this is one way how you can get your constant values. Now say I want to find out the gravitational constant or the universal gravitational constant. So universal gravitational constant is basically expressed as G, which you can see. Now it is representing number 39. So now if I want to find out that value, how can I do it? Again, simple technique, press shift, constant. What is the number? 39. So if the number is 39, I press 39, directly my G comes up. If I press equal to, this is my universal gravitational constant. So you can see all these constants are given to you. So you can use these constants directly, and it is totally legal as all the engineering colleges have accepted this calculator. So it's not like you're cheating or crossing any laws that define your code of conduct at the time of examination. So this calculator gives you all that constants, and it's totally legal to use all these constants. Only the thing is, people don't know that these constants are already there and they try to study them by heart. As I told you, engineering is basically applying. The information is all out there, only you have to apply the information. So kindly go through your calculator before you start using it. Another important function is your unit conversions. That means you can convert from inches to centimeter, from centimeter to inches, from feet to meter, from meter to feet, from yard to meters, from meters to yard, and so on. So you can do all these conversions here, even your Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, your degree Celsius to degree Fahrenheit, and all this. So this also becomes a very crucial factor for conversions. So if you want to use it, so say I have degree Fahrenheit and degree Celsius. Say I have 35 degree Fahrenheit and I want to convert it to degree Celsius. So I press 35 and now I have to get it to degree Fahrenheit. So I press shift and I press 8 for conversion. So when I press shift and I press 8, I have to now add my number. So what it is, 35 degree Fahrenheit, which I want to convert to degree Celsius. So Fahrenheit to Celsius is 37. So I press 37 here. So you see I get 35 degree Fahrenheit. Now I want to know my Celsius value. So I press equal to So this is my Celsius value, that is 1.666 degree Celsius. Now obviously if I had it in fix, which I press 6 and I press 2 decimal places, I can get this value right away. So this fix also, as I told you, plays a very important role. But anyways, coming out of it and using only your normal mode, this is how it is. So I can basically convert from degree Celsius to degree Fahrenheit, from yards to meters, from meters to yard, from centimeters to inches instantly with this conversion. The other most important factor about the conversion is your HP to kilowatt, which is basically used in electrical and electronic engineering, which is basically used in the basic subjects of E-Tech, electrical and electronics, to convert your HP to kilowatts or your kilowatts to HP, which is represented as 29. So say you have a motor of 5 HP. So I can press 5 and say I want to convert this HP to kilowatt. So I press shift conversion, HP to kilowatt is 29. So I put 29 here. So now I have 5 HP and I want to convert it to kilowatt. I press equal to. So my 5 HP is basically equal to 3.7285 kilowatt. So this is how I can convert from kilowatt to HP. So this basically proves very valuable and makes your conversions possible. Now, one of the most important plus points of the Casio FX 991 ES Plus is that you can save up to 7 values in this. So you can save up to 7 numerical values of your choosing, and you can save these numerical values in these alphabets, which are designated as A, B, C, D, E, F and M. So you can save it in all these alphabets. So you can save up to 7. Now you can even save in X and Y. But the problem in saving in X and Y is, if we want to basically convert any polar form to a rectangular form or a rectangular form to a polar form, although your answers will be displayed directly when you press the equal to, but the answer of the recent one which you have calculated will be saved in X and Y. So say suppose you want to convert from a polar form to a rectangular form. So the rectangular magnitude will be saved in X and the imaginary term will be saved in Y. So your real term will be saved in X and your imaginary term will be saved in Y. So whatever term you have put, that means say if you have saved the value of X as 5 and the value of Y as 6, then the value of X will get deleted and your rectangular real term value will come in X and your imaginary term value will come in Y. So this is the reason why X and Y is not utilized. So here it will basically save, so in the X it will basically save the magnitude for a polar form and the real term for a rectangular form, and in the Y it will save the angle in a polar form and the imaginary term in the rectangular form. So we avoid saving data in X and Y. As far as all the other things go, from A to B to C to D to D to E, E, F and M, you can basically save all your values. Now how can we save the values? Now see, if I press alpha A and I press equal to, I get a 0, because right now my calculator is restored to its default position. So when it is restored to its default position, whatever values are there will be saved to a default 0. So now say if I want to input the value of A, I want to save the value of 0.865 in A. So what I have to do is, I just have to press alpha A. If I press equal to C, it's 0. So I want to input this value of 0.865. So I just have to press calculate. Now when the comma sign comes, I have to input this value. So 0.865 and I press equal to. So now you see, when I press equal to, A equals to 0.865. Now if I press AC and if I press alpha A and I press equal to, I get the value. Now if I press equal to again, I still get the value of A. Now say if I want to save another value of 8.659 in C, then what can I do is the same procedure. So I press alpha C, I press calculate and I input this value 8.659 and I press equal to. So the value of C is saved as 8.659. So now if I press AC and I press alpha C, the value is displayed. So this becomes a very handy method and you can save up to 7 terms in this same fashion. Now say if you want to delete the value in A and C, a simple process would be alpha A, okay, and I press calculate and I press 0 and I press equal to. So now the value of A equals to 0. But say if you have all 7 terms and say you want to quickly delete all these terms due to some reason, then what you can do is you can press shift and you can press 9 as I told you earlier. So what you have, setup and memory. Now I don't want to change my setup. I can even press all will delete everything. It will delete my setup and my memory, but I want to keep my setup as it is. So if I want my setup as it is, I will not go for all. I will only delete the memory. That means whatever values I saved in A, B, C, D, E, F and M and X and Y, even if I have saved the values in that as well, it will all get deleted. So I only want to clear my memory. So I press 2 and I press equal to and I press the AC key. Right now everything is deleted. So whatever values I have, it will be equal to 0. Now if you notice, the value of C is still there, which is 8.659. But since I did this process, if I press equal to, you see the value of C is still 0. You see the value of C is right now 0. So no matter what values I saved here, all will be restored to the default setting, that is 0. So this is how you can use it. Another application of these memory blocks would be in simplifying a equation. That is, say if you have 5a plus 6 divided by 7 into 6 plus a. Now say I want to find out the value of this when a equals to 10, when a equals to 11, when a equals to 15 and when a equals to 19. So basically I want to find out when a equals to all these terms. So a normal process, in a normal process how it would be, I would put a open bracket 5, since I am finding out when a equals to 10. So when a equals to 10, what will be the answer? So when a equals to 10, so 5 into 10 close bracket plus 6 open bracket here again divided by open bracket again 7 into 6 open bracket plus a, which is 10 and close bracket. So it is equals to 1.0769 roughly. Now this is the method I can use. Now say if I want to find out when a equals to 11, I can just use my replay button and I can change this 10 to 11. So I'll change this to 11, and then in the denominator I'll change this 10 also to 11, and I can press equal to, and I can find out my value when a equals to 11, which is 1.151. Now this is possible, but there is a much easier method which we can employ. Instead of changing it here in the replay button each and every time, what I can do is I can just replace it with a. So alpha a or b or whichever. Okay, so now once I replaced it with just alpha a, I press equal to. Now you will get a different answer because the value of a was saved with a different value. Now say I want to change the value of a, so I have to just press calculate. So keeping the value of a as 10, I got a question mark, so I have to input the value of a 10, I press equal to, and I get my value. You see, it is the same value what I got earlier. So it becomes very simple. Now if I press equal to again, it will ask me the new value of a which you want to input, which is a equals to 11. So now if I put a equals to 11, I just have to type 11 and press equal to. It gives me 1.15094, which I got earlier. So you see, it becomes very simple. If I press equal to again, when a equals to 11, equal to 1.15094. Now again, when a equals to 15, what will be the value of this equation? Again I press equal to. It asks me the value of a to be inputted. I put 15 and I press equal to, and I get 1.421. In the same way, when a equals to 19, I can just press equal to. It asks me the value of a. I press 19 and I press equal to. So it is equals to 1.655. So in this way, I can simplify my work in a well distributed way, and I can finish my problems much faster as compared to the conventional methods. So all these advantages have to be exploited so that you can complete your work faster and more effectively. And the Casio FX991 ES Plus helps you do that. So these are some of the functions which hold key importance at the time of examinations, and even in solving your problems more effectively and more faster.